in silent mode for the smooth running of this function. Please avoid moving around as we have our professional photographers to cover the entire session, which will be handed to your wards later. Esteemed dignitaries, faculty, parents, friends, and the graduating batch, a very good evening to you all. I, Ms. Pratiksha Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of MLT, Kanachur Institute of Allied Health Sciences, and my fellow host for the evening, Mrs. Rashmi D'Souza, Assistant Lecturer, Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences, and Dr. Mir Lukman Mehdi, Tutor, Department of Biochemistry, warmly welcome you all to the graduation ceremony organized by Kanachur Institute of Medical Sciences, College of Physiotherapy, Institute of Allied Health Sciences, and College of Nursing Sciences, Mangaluru. Kanachur Education Trust, due to its persistence in improving the healthcare in rural services, are adopting modern methods to improve the quality of higher education, has now established itself as one of the leading medical, nursing, physiotherapy, and allied health sciences institute in Dakshin Kannada. Another feather in the cap of Kanachur Group of Institution is the graduation of its accomplished batch of students. Talent and skills are crops that are nurtured, groomed, and given all possible opportunities to grow and bloom. Graduation Day is a celebration of harvest of this crop. This is a much awaited event in every student's life as it gives the returns to the efforts put by the students throughout their academic endeavor. It is a day full of pride, joy, and accomplishment, a day of celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for the graduates to walk the red carpet with their heads held high and their chests puffed with pride, with sparkle of great achievement. I request the gathering to please rise as the procession of the new graduates takes place with a round of applause. The procession is led by Kanachur Institute of Medical Sciences, batch of 2018-19 with 158 students graduating today. Institute of Allied Health Sciences, BSc Medical Laboratory Technology, BSc Optometry, BSc Renal Dialysis Technology, BSc Anesthesia and Operation Theatre Technology, and BSc Medical Imaging Technology, batch of 2019-20 and 2021 with 39 students graduating today. Lastly, Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences, batch of 2019-20 with 87 students graduating today. celebrate this event, we have with us our eminent guest, Dr. H.S. Ballal, Pro-Chancellor, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Dr. U.T. Iftikhar Fareed, Syndicate Member, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Dr. Haji U.K. Monu, Chairman, Kanachur Education Trust, Mrs. Zora Monu, First Lady and Trustee, Kanachur Education Trust, Mr. Abdul Rahman, Trustee, Kanachur Education Trust and Director, Kanachur Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Ratnakara UP, Dean, Kanachur Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Muhammad Ismail Hejmadi, Chairman, Kanachur Health Science Advisory Council, Dr. Venkatraya Prabhu, Member, Kanachur Health Science Advisory Council, Dr. Harish Shetty, Medical Superintendent, Kanachur Hospital and Research Center, Dr. Muhammad Sohail, Dean, Kanachur College of Physiotherapy and Institute of Allied Health Sciences, Professor Mrs. Molly Saldana, Principal, Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences, Dr. Shamima, Principal, Kanachur Institute of Allied Health Sciences, Dr. Rohan Monas, Chief Administrative Medical Officer, Kanachur Hospital and Research Center, Dr. Roshan, HOD, Department of Anatomy, Dr. Satish Kumar NS, HOD, Department of Physiology, Dr. Mamata BV, HOD, Department of Biochemistry, Dr. Suchitra A. Shetty, HOD, Department of Pathology, Dr. Shamjit Manikot, HOD, Department of Pharmacology, Dr. Yashwant Kumar Rai, HOD, Department of Microbiology, Dr. Shanavas Manipadi, HOD, Department of Forensic Medicine, Dr. Shahul Hamid, HOD, Department of Community Medicine, Dr. Badrinath Talwar, Professor, Department of Ophthalmology, Dr. Ashok Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of ENT, Dr. Devdas Rai, HOD, Department of General Medicine, Dr. Likith Rai, HOD, Department of General Surgery, Dr. Salahuddin Arif K, HOD, Department of Orthopedics, Dr. Kirti, Associate Professor, Department of OBG, Dr. Samshad Khan, HOD, Department of Pediatrics, Dr. Vijay Kumar SS, Associate Professor, Department of Emergency Medicine, Dr. Mika SN, Assistant Professor, Department of Respiratory Medicine, Dr. Vincent Matthias, HOD, Department of Anesthesia, Dr. Bola Ram Prasad, HOD, Department of Radiology, Dr. Jayant Kumar K, Professor, Department of Psychiatry. Blessings bring us meaning, happiness and fulfillment in life. The mercy of the Almighty encompasses those who listen to His verses. Our student, Mr. Abdul Salam from second year MBBS will lead us through the invocation. I request the gathering to be seated during the prayer.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد خلقنا الإنسان من سلالة من طين ثم جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. And certainly did we create man from an extract of clay. Then we placed him as a sperm drop in a firm lodging. Then we made the sperm drop into a clinging clot, and we made the clot into a lump of flesh. And we made from the lump bones, and we covered the bones with flesh. Then we developed him into another creation. So blessed is Allah, the best of the creators. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for the beautiful rendition. We all feel blessed indeed. William Shakespeare said, "Small cheers and great welcome makes a merry feast." Now, I would like to request the young, dynamic, and ever-enterprising Mr. Abdul Rahman Sir, Trustee, Kanachur Education Trust, and Director, Kanachur Institute of Medical Science, to formally welcome the gathering and express your thoughts at this momentous celebration.
Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. A very good evening to all of you. On this momentous day, with a deep sense of gratitude to the Almighty, I deem it my honor and feel indebted standing here before you today. As we see our next cohort of able healthcare providers, gloriously dressed in their academic gowns, waiting in the aisles to be handed over their scroll of honor. A distinct day indeed for the parents of our students, our heads of the institution, our esteemed faculties, and us trustees. And on the same note, I extend you a hearty welcome to our grand ceremonial feast, the graduation day of 2024. I extend my gratitude to all for honoring our invitation to commemorate our third graduation day at Kanachur. Kanachur stands in its glory today because of our visionary founder, chairman, my father, Dr. Haji UK Monu. His unwavering spirit, his resilience to beat the odds, his never say die attitude has helped us to create a premier healthcare campus on a different scale and dimension. I am reminded of the quote. It reads, "Sit with the winners. The conversation is different." Yes, the winners of today, our graduates, have amazing stories of their own. Their narratives of trust, truth, tactfulness, tangibility with tedious thoughts and talent. And I'm sure of our able faculty has helped curate our future healthcare leaders with a difference. I trust our young graduates have the magic to imagine better and to bring about a change in the dimension they move further into. I take into realization the fleeting emotions and the intense passion in which about nearly 5 years ago, both the parents and their wards had a dream, cracking competitive exams and getting an admission into a school for higher education, be it medical, nursing, physical therapy, or the allied health science courses. And fast forward to today, we have the national assets, healthcare providers and healthcare professionals who are resilient, smart, who are owned with skills of communication, compassion, commitment, confidence, and competence. Over the years, I have seen this 70-acre campus dedicated for education gradually getting filled with infrastructure, children, equipment, and occasions, with dreams and aspirations, and the transition from primary education to higher education, all here at Natakal, Mangalore. I must put it on record that the last 24 years have been incredibly rewarding and challenging. I wish to express with the modern medical infrastructure and facilities, with the 5-star faculty across the streams, with the system in place, we have successfully cleared all our audits under the National Medical Commission, RGUHS, INC, Karnataka State Nursing Council, Indian Association of Physiotherapy. In this aerodrome, today we all together celebrate our accomplishments and achievements. In short, our success story. Our graduate batches are MBBS, the 3rd batch, Nursing and Physiotherapy, the 4th batch, the Allied Health Science, the 5th batch. What a proud day. We couldn't be happier for you. Let me pass on record that our students across the healthcare education streams, that is medical, nursing, physical therapy, medical laboratory technology, optometry, renal dialysis technology, imaging technology, anesthesia and operation theater technology, have achieved laurels during their tenure here, both in their curricular and extracurricular spaces, who will hereafter be the flag bearers of this institution. I take great pride in stating just a few of the numerous accomplishments achieved by these young practitioners of healthcare. Let's begin with the medical college front. This year has been truly outstanding. With an overall 99.3% pass percentage, we have achieved the first RGHS rank in Karnataka through Dr. Madhura K.I. We shall see her being honored soon. We have two students who have achieved Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences state ranks and 6 of them who have secured subject-wise ranks. We have total of 14 distinctions and 89 first class. About 14 scientific projects, both under the ICMR and RGHS banner, are awaited for approval. We have had students present scientific papers, poster presentations in conferences, and do publish research projects too. Our MBBS wizards have won quiz competitions and achieved laurels in state level competitions too. We have few of our students publish their research articles in index journals along with their guides, which normally is a mandatory requisite for our teaching faculties. At the nursing education front, Ashita Joseph earned a 5th rank in the RGHS BSc Nursing final examinations out of the 530 nursing colleges in Karnataka. 13 more students have subject-wise ranks in the RGHS exams. 99 pass percentage results with 59 distinctions and 20 first class. Many activities under the Youth Red Cross unit at Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences, the emergency nursing and life support course for students. 2 research projects have been completed successfully. As a part of our training program, our students have been across the villages and panchayats of our district, teaching, displaying, and miming healthcare topics, and not to miss, assisting the district in vaccinating children. Our esteemed nursing faculty have done various professional development programs into promoting their clinical research and teaching skills. First national conference was held by Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences. At the College of Physiotherapy, in the bachelor's program, we college achieved 100% results and 2 state ranks. The batch has passed out with 26 distinctions and 20 first class. The first batch of MPT passed out too, and the results are fascinating. 9 state ranks in RGHS exams, of which we have Praveena, Himani, and Aisha standing first in their respective branches. Sachin Chawla secured a first place in the paper presentation at Physio Conference Jaipur. The boys team participated in Mangala Magnus Cup 2024, a cricket tournament, and were the champions. The faculty with the students and interns have been active in academic conferences, yogathons, walkathons, and workshops on dry needling and manual therapy. In association with UT Farid Foundation, Kanachur College of Physiotherapy has been conducting the late Mrs. Nasima Farid Memorial Lecture since 2015. The names I just called out are the late parents of our guest of honor, Professor UT Iftikhar Farid. The Allied Health Science Colleges. In the Medical Lab Technology College, we secured 100% results with 4 distinctions and 2 state ranks. We also secured 100% results under the optometry, renal dialysis technology, anesthesia technology, and medical imaging technology programs. They had an eventful CME commemorating World Medical Lab Technology Day. Congratulations and welcome to the amazing world of healthcare. To celebrate your laurels and acclaim We are honored with the presence of illustrious luminaries across all walks of life, and I deem it a priceless privilege to welcome them amidst us for this ceremonial feat. With a very modest heart filled with gratitude and my head held high, I wholeheartedly welcome our chief guest, Dr. H.S. Ballal ji. Dr. Hebri Subhash Krishna Ballal is the Pro-Chancellor of Mahe University since 2007 and has been a part of the Manipal Group for more than 50 years. Dr. Ballal has won numerous state and national awards and is a philanthropist too, providing scholarships and medical treatment for poor students. He is not only an administrator, but also a human being par excellence, whose path-breaking contribution into social, economical, and cultural development of our state of Karnataka has been profound. He isn't just a humble man, he is an institution in himself, who has not only grown, but also shown the way. Dr. H.S. Ballal ji, we consider ourselves really blessed to have your presence with us in this academic ceremony and on behalf of all of us gathered here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome a great personality who distinctly stands out for unyielding medical service. I request Founder Chairman Dr. Haji U.K. Monuji to do the floral honor. We welcome you, sir. I take this opportunity to proudly welcome our guest of honor to this August event, Professor U.T. Iftikhar Farid, Syndicate Member, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Chairman, U.T. Farid Foundation, and President of Indian Association of Physiotherapists, Karnataka. He is also an assessor in the Rehabilitation Council of India, a proactive and vibrant personality who I can say is our family, has won numerous accolades and awards on the state, national, and international platforms. He is people-friendly, very hands-on, handles crisis efficiently, and exhibits fabric of conscious executions. Another tall figure, this enthusiastic personality has a sparkling attitude, and his contributions are vital for some future-proof decisions in the vertical of physical therapy. We wish him all the best and a very warm welcome to you on our third graduation day, sir. I request Honorable Founder Chairman to do the floral honor to Dr. Professor U.T. Iftikhar Farid. We welcome you, sir. Presiding over the graduation day, I welcome our Honorable Founder Chairman, my mentor, my vertical of courage and strength, my father, Dr. Haji U.K. Monuji. His dreams of creating an educational institute with the distinction have borne fruits, and we as a family have witnessed his happiness and joy. The Kanachur Education Trust can gladly say that we have institutions in a unitary campus from KG to PG. Dr. Monu's dream has seen success, and we are all witness to this accomplishment. I extend a hearty welcome to Mr. Chairman. I request Dr. U.P. Ratnakar sir to florally welcome the Chairman. We welcome you, sir. As the axiom goes, behind every successful man is a woman. The first lady of our institution, my mother, Mrs. Zohra Monu, has been a pillar of strength in our family. I welcome her to this August gathering too. I request Professor Molly Saldana to do the floral honor to Zohra ma'am. Dr. Mohammad Ismail, Chairman, Kanachur Health Sciences Advisory Council. I welcome him, sir. I welcome Dr. Venkatrai Prabhu, sir, Member, Kanachur Health Sciences Advisory Council. Dr. U.P. Ratnakara, Dean, Kanachur Institute of Health Sciences. Dr. Hari Shetty sir, Medical Superintendent, Kanachur Hospital and Research Center. Dr. Rohan Monis, Chief Administrative Medical Officer, Kanachur Hospital and Research Center. Professor Molly Saldana, Principal, Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences. I welcome Dr. Mohammad Suhail, Principal, Kanachur College of Physiotherapy. I welcome Dr. Shamima, Principal, Kanachur Institute of Allied Health Sciences. I also extend a warm welcome to the heads of our departments, teaching, faculty, and non-teaching faculty. I extend a warm welcome to our patrons, Mrs. Sahada in her absence, my sister, Mrs. Umaya Banu, Mrs. Farida, Dr. Abida in her absence, and her children, Dr. Akid, Asad, Anam, Zara, to this event, and their beautiful families for their generous and valid support. I welcome all the proud parents for this monumental day in their life, where they witnessed their dream, their wards being honored as the qualified healthcare providers. This day does make them decision-making and law-abiding citizens into the world of healthcare. I welcome the press, both from the print and digital space, for being here for this ceremonial event. I welcome all the people who are watching us online today through the live feed. And speaking of the stars of the day, who have worked very hard to achieve this position of honor in the society, I am extremely delighted to welcome our intellectual folk of graduates and soon-to-be alumni of Kanachur. On behalf of the entire Kanachur family of patrons, administrative heads, faculties, and staff, I welcome you all. Once again, my heartfelt congratulations to you and your families, and the very best for your personal and professional successes. I'm very sure you will make your alma mater proud. There is a highlight in today's graduation day ceremony, where we shall witness the release of our newsletter, the Kanachur Gazette. Thank you, Dr. Shamima, Pratiksha, and Mr. Aftab for your all efforts. My dear graduates, choose your status and influence to be the voice for the voiceless. Choose to identify yourself with the powerless. Choose to make an impression in the lives of those who don't have your advantages. Be the change and celebrate life. And on the closing note, I owe this day and all these tall accomplishments to my parents, Dr. Haji UK Monu and Mrs. Zohara Monu. If not for their incessant, enduring spirit, motivating light, and innumerable sacrifices, this page in history would never be written. Thank you for making Kanachur an intimate part of our lives. And for those who were watching our path very closely, undervaluing our merit, condemning our steps, judging our effort, and nitpicking, we did not lose our focus, and we weren't distracted. We have proved it once again. This resonates very well with the quote by Zig Ziglar. Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people will have is when they take a bite out of you. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you for the affectionate welcome. I welcome you too, sir. I request Dr. Mohammad Suhail to do the floral honor. Saraswati Mahabhagya, Vidya Kamala Lochane, Vidya Rupe Vishalakshi, Vidyam Dehi Namastute. O Lotus, I, Mother Saraswati, kindly bless us with knowledge and humility. Like every auspicious occasion, let's start this event by offering our prayers to Ma Saraswati and conduct the lamp lighting ceremony. I request Dr. H.S. Balal and Dr. U.T. Iftikhar Farid to come forward and inaugurate this program. I request the dignitaries to join.
Dean, Kanachur Institute of Medical Sciences, will convey the ode to the MBBS graduates.
Good evening all. I, Dr. UP Ratnakar, shall administer the oath to new MBBS graduates. MBBS graduates, please rise. Raise your right hand in front of you and please recite after me clearly, slowly and loudly. I solemnly pledge myself to consecrate my life to service of humanity. I will maintain utmost respect to human life from the time of conception. Even under threat, I will not use my medical knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity. I will not permit consideration of religion, nationality and race, party politics or social standing to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. The health of my patients will be my first consideration. I will respect the secrets which are confided in me. I will give to my teachers the respect and gratitude which is their due. I will maintain by all means in my power the honor and noble traditions of the medical profession. I will treat my colleagues with all respect and dignity. I shall abide by the code of medical ethics as enunciated in the Indian Medical Council regulations. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Now, doctors, you shall flip your tassel from right to left. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, Dr. Shamima, Principal, Kanachur Institute of Health Sciences, will convey the ode to the physiotherapy, allied health sciences, and the nursing graduates.
Good evening, graduates. Kindly rise. Raise your right hand. I solemnly pledge myself before God and in the presence of this assembly that I shall in thought, words and deed ever endeavor to be honest in the discharge of my duties in my profession. I will do all in my power to maintain and elevate the standards governing my profession. I shall uphold the dignity, integrity, laws and standards governing my profession and maintaining honor. I shall uphold the advanced social order and the well-being of my fellow members, and I shall devote all my energy to promote the unity, integrity, and the secularism of my country. I will contribute this knowledge to the advancement of my profession and impart my services to society efficiently and effectively. Now it's time for the traditional turning of tassel. All the undergraduate students, please turn your tassel from right to left. And all postgraduate students, please turn your tassel from left to right. Kindly be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I call upon my co-anchor for the evening, Bibi Amina, tutor, Department of Biochemistry.
A very good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Bibi Amina, an alumni of the very same medical college. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of today's ceremony. Our late president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, once said, "Dream is not what you see in sleep, but the thing which doesn't let you sleep." I humbly request Dr. H.S. Ballal to bestow the certificates to the graduates.
The graduates from Kanachur Institute of Medical Sciences, batch of 2018 are Dr. Adil Mohammad Bashir, son of Mr. A. Abdul Bashir and Mrs. Sajita Bibi RJ.
Dr. Abhiram C.H., son of Mr. Hani C.T. and Mrs. Draupadi T.S.
Dr. Ahmad Anish M.H., son of Mr. Muhammad Hanif and Mrs. Khairunisa.
Dr. Amin Riaz M., son of Mr. Muhammad Bashir and Mrs. Sanuba Bibi N. Dr. Anandu Mohan, son of Mr. Mohanan S. and Mrs. Sindhu Mohan.
Dr. Ashir Abdul Khader, son of Mr. Abdul Khader and Mrs. Abida.
Dr. Aslam Muhammad K., son of Mr. P.S. Kochu Muhammad and Mrs. Rashida P.K.
Dr. Fatima Risli M.K., daughter of Mr. Salim K. and Mrs. Raisat M.K.
Dr. George M. Joy, son of Mr. Joy Varghese and Mrs. Sindhu Varghese.
Dr. Hiba M.K., daughter of Mr. Bashir and Mrs. Tahira. Dr. Kartik Patil, son of Mr. V.V. Patil and Mrs. Shailaja Patil. Dr. Manikandan Ravindran, son of Mr. E.V. Ravindran and Mrs. K.C. Kanakavalli.
Dr. Mohammad K.S., son of Mr. Kaisuddin Y. and Mrs. Shamla Bibi.
Dr. Muhammad Shibil, son of Mr. Pokar Haji and Mrs. Abida.
Dr. Pranay Rai, son of Mr. Roy TV and Mrs. Fancy Roy.
Dr. Shabuddin Munshi, son of Mr. Rafi Muhammad Munshi and Mrs. Ifat Jahan Munshi.
Dr. A.R. Bharadwaj, son of Mr. S. Ajay Kumar and Mrs. S. Rajeshwari.
Dr. Abdul Rahman Suhaf K, son of Mr. Muhammad Sharif and Mrs. Wahida Sharif.
Dr. Abhishek U.N., son of Mr. Narayan A.N. and Mrs. Sri Rajini K.G.
Dr. Achyuta Rao B, son of Mr. Raghavendra Rao B and Mrs. Sandhya R. Rao.
Dr. Adil Tambe, son of Mr. Mehmood Tambe and Mrs. Shamshad Begum. Dr. Afan Javed Syed, son of Mr. Syed Javed Ahmad and Dr. Sandida Tabassum M.
Dr. Afia Tarannum TM, daughter of Mr. Moinuddin Ahmad and Mrs. Naushin Tarannum.
Dr. Aishwarya Indu Kumar, daughter of Mr. Indu Kumar and Mrs. Shobha Indu Kumar.
Dr. Amanullah Jinabade, son of Mr. Nazir Ahmed Jinabade and Mrs. Bibi Jan Jinabade.
Thank you, sir. I now humbly request Dr. UT Iftikhar Fareed to present the certificates to the graduates.
Dr. Anam Arman, daughter of Muhammad Nazimuddin and Mrs. Rahila Irfana.
Dr. Anusha PK, daughter of Mr. Balakrishnan KV and Mrs. Renuka PK. Dr. Anvi Reju, daughter of Mr. Reju K. Paul and Mrs. Sumi Reju.
Dr. Arati AG, daughter of Mr. Ajit K. and Mrs. Gada PM.
Dr. Ashita P., daughter of Mr. Q.V. Surendran and Mrs. Chandramati.
Dr. B.S. Shazia Halima, daughter of Mr. Muhammad Samiullah and Mrs. Zeenat.
Dr. Basil Ansari, son of Mr. Nizamuddin Ansari and Mrs. Talat Ansari. Dr. B. Krishnateja, daughter of Mr. Ramachandra Reddy and Mrs. Radharani.
Dr. Bhavana C, daughter of Mrs. Chalapati V and Mrs. Sunanda R. Dr. Bidiwala Nawaz Ejaz, son of Dr. Ejaz Bidiwala and Goshia Bidiwala.
Dr. Chaganti Yashwant, son of Mr. Chaganti Venkatrao and Mrs. Radha.
Dr. Chandana Case, daughter of Mrs. Swaminathan and Nirupama BC.
Dr. Kodyal Chidananda Kallappa, son of Mr. Kallappa Kotyal and Mrs. Sangeeta Kotyal. Dr. Dhanush C, son of Mr. M.G. Chandrakant and Mrs. K.S. Shashikala.
Dr. Dharani Sridhar, daughter of Dr. Sridhara K and Dr. Padmaja KV.
Dr. Darshini Teji, daughter of V. Tanu and Mrs. Jayashree Bhaskar.
Dr. F.A. Nizamuddin, son of Mr. F. Abdul Jalil and Mrs. Seema Nishad DK.
Dr. Farida M, daughter of Mr. Tanveer M and Mrs. Jasina P. Dr. Fatima Rashid, daughter of Mr. Waliyat Rashid Ali Kunyu and Mrs. Rahumat Begum.
Dr. Fatima Zohra, daughter of Mr. Naeem Pasha and Mrs. Aisha Naeem.
Dr. Fiza Firdos, daughter of Mr. Yaqub Pasha and Mrs. Tarannum Taj. Dr. Fiza Kausar, daughter of Mr. Syed Ghaffar and Mrs. Tafseen Taj.
Dr. Giridhar MN, son of Mr. Nagaraj MM and Mrs. Rekha S. Thank you, sir. I now humbly request Dr. Haji UK Monu, sir, to present the certificates to the graduates.
Dr. Grishma B.R., daughter of Mr. Rajshekhar B.S. and Mrs. Shobha K.
Dr. Halima Afrina, daughter of Mr. I. Abbas and Mrs. M. Razia.
Dr. Hamza Ahmed, son of Mr. Zohair Ahmed Haroon and Mrs. Saida Tazeen Fatima.
Dr. Hawwa Zahima, daughter of Mr. V. M. Zainuddin and Mrs. Safia and wife of Atif Abdur Raza. Dr. Hiba Aisha, daughter of Dr. Zamiruddin Ahmad HR and Mrs. Tarannum Zamir.
Dr. Dr. Hiba Kausar, daughter of Mr. Sadiq Khan and Mrs. Taiba Kausar.
Dr. Huda Anjum, daughter of Mr. Khadar Basha and Mrs. Bibi Aisha.
Dr. Ibrahim Khan, son of Mr. Saidullah Khan and Mrs. Ruhi Firdaus.
Dr. Impana M.H., daughter of Mr. Hanumanta M. and Mrs. Bhagya B.
Dr. Indrajit S.A., son of Mr. Satish Kumar V. and Mrs. Anila Rani S.S.
Dr. Jalaluddin Ishan M., son of Mr. Muhammad Hanif and Mrs. Aisha Banu.
Dr. Joshnavi Huzuru, daughter of Mr. Malleshwara Rao and Mrs. Madhavi Lata. Dr. Kirtana B.N., daughter of Mr. Nagappa Gowda and Mrs. Vedavati.
Dr. Khatijatul Muskan, daughter of Mr. Abdul Majid Hassan and Mrs. Hafsa.
Dr. Lakshmi Ji, daughter of Mr. Gangadhar A. and Mrs. Sujata D. Dr. Lubla Rahman, daughter of Mr. Muhammad Fairoz Pasha and Mrs. Tamina Nasreen. Dr. Madhura K.I., daughter of Mr. Ishwara Bhatt K. and Mrs. Purnima G.
Dr. Masna Manaf, daughter of Dr. Abdul Manaf and Dr. Khanza Manaf.
Dr. Manmohan Reddy M.S., son of Mr. Srinivas Reddy M.Y. and Mrs. Manjula.
Dr. Manishri K.E., daughter of Mr. K.V. Ishwarappa and Mrs. K. Saubhagya.
Dr. Mariam Renisha Bastikar, daughter of Mr. Aziz Bastikar and Mrs. Manoli Aisha, wife of Dr. Mohiddin Ashik.
Dr. Muhammad Hamadullah Khan, son of Muhammad Ramatullah Khan and Mrs. Husna Khatun.
Dr. Mir Muhammad Ifam, son of Mr. Mir Ziauddin and Mrs. Shahina Anjum.
Dr. Mir Sajid Raza, son of Dr. Mir Nakhi Raza and Mrs. Sumana Zainab.
Dr. Muhammad Suhail, son of Mr. Muhammad Zamir and Mrs. Gausia Parveen. Thank you, sir. I kindly request Mrs. Zohra Monu to present the degree certificates to the graduates.
Dr. Muhammad Fahad, son of Mr. K. Abdul Wahab and Mrs. Zohra. Dr. Muhammad Safwan, son of Mr. K. Hamid and Mrs. Laid Rihamad.
Dr. Muhammad Nabil, son of Mr. Muhammad Kifayatullah and Mrs. Shahina Farhana. Dr. Muhammad Parvez, son of Mr. S. Ayub Pasha and Mrs. Samina Kausar.
Dr. Muhammad Sabit, son of Mr. M.B. Bashir and Mrs. Sauda P.A.
Dr. Muhammad Sahad K.S., son of Mr. Shahul Hamid and Mrs. Zahura. Dr. Muhammad Umar N., son of Mr. T.R. Nadeem Iqbal and Mrs. Seher Fatima.
Dr. Muhammad Unais, son of Mr. B. Umar Abba and Mrs. Salma Reshma.
Dr. Muhammad Usama, son of Mr. Muhammad Ejaz and Mrs. Shabreen Taj.
Dr. Moeddin Hassan Zuhaib, son of Dr. Muhammad Hassan Sarfaraz and Mrs. Hasina.
Dr. Moin Fazl, son of Mr. P.H. Fazlullah and Mrs. Fauzia Khanam.
Dr. Muhammad Amir Anis, son of Mr. S. Anis Siraj and Mrs. Tamina Sultana.
Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim Tanveer K., son of Dr. Muhammad Bashiruddin Kumla and Mrs. Naushiba Muhammad Bashiruddin. Dr. Muzammil Panfarosh, son of Mr. Sheikh Saab and Mrs. Razia.
Dr. N. Charan Gowda, son of Mr. Nagaraj S.T. and Mrs. Prafulla A.S. Thank you, ma'am. I kindly request Mr. Abdul Rahman, sir, to present the degree certificates to the graduates.
I request the graduates' relatives, two girls in front of stage. I request, please.
Dr. Nandini S., daughter of Mr. Shiva Shankarappa and Mrs. Kapila.
Dr. Naveen Kumar Malappa Biradar, son of Mr. Malappa D. Biradar and Mrs. Dundamma Biradar.
Dr. Nidhi Shetty, daughter of Mrs. Shashikant Shetty and Mrs. Deepa Shetty.
Dr. Nisha Manda, daughter of Mr. Narayan Ram Manda and Mrs. Anupama Manda.
Dr. Noor Aisha, daughter of Mr. Khalil Pasha and Mrs. Musarat Unisa.
Dr. Nurul Hassan R., son of Mr. Muhammad Rahmatullah G.A. and Mrs. Yasmin Taj.
Dr. Pavitra R., daughter of Mr. Ramesh B.V. and Mrs. Shanta M. Dr. Purvan Raj, son of Mr. B.R. Devaraju and Mrs. G.A. Jayashila. Dr. Pratiksha Jayaraj, daughter of Mr. Jayaraj K. and Mrs. Jyoti Ramesh Nair.
Dr. Pratvish M. Hulekal, son of Mr. Mahesh P. Hulekal and Mrs. Rajshri Naik.
Dr. Praveen Kumar CG, son of Mr. Ganesh and Mrs. Nagavenamma. Dr. Priya Singh, daughter of Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh and Mrs. Sandhya Singh.
Dr. Rabia Tabassum, daughter of Mr. Mohammad Shabir and Mrs. Sadia Sultana.
Dr. Rachna N, daughter of Mr. Nataraju P. and Dr. Sheila S.J.
Dr. Rafida Chiraldini, daughter of Mr. Yasin Chiraldini and Mrs. Shabana Begum Sheikh.
Dr. Rida Fatima M. Beg, daughter of Mr. Mohammad Murtaza Beg and Mrs. Khatun B.
Dr. Ruzaina Khan, daughter of Mr. Asmatullah Khan and Mrs. Mamtaz B.A.
Dr. Sagar U, son of Mr. Umesh and Mrs. Nagaratna.
Dr. Sahana R, daughter of Mr. H.V. Ramesh and Mrs. Prema K.
Dr. Shakira Banu Bhavikatti, daughter of Mr. Khaji Saab Bhavikatti and Mrs. Rajabi Bhavikatti.
Dr. Sama Mehdi, daughter of Mr. Mir Hanif and Mrs. Rizwana Hanif.
Dr. Samiksha DP, daughter of Mr. Padmanabha Devashya and Mrs. Varijakshi.
Dr. Samira Mehnaz, daughter of Mr. Sayyid Ilyas Pasha and Dr. Hasina Gohar. Dr. Sangeeta Totad, daughter of Mr. Amresh Totad and Nagaratna Totad.
Thank you, sir. I kindly request Dr. Ratnakara UP to present the degree certificates to the graduates. Dr. Sanjana S, daughter of Mr. Somashekar N and Mrs. Rajeshwari Y.
Dr. Shabrish H.S., son of Mr. Srinivasa H.V. and Mrs. Gayatri M.P.
Dr. Shahan Ahmed, son of Mr. Mukhtar Ahmed and Mrs. Najma Banu.
Dr. Shamil Abbas, son of Mr. M.A. Jalil and Mrs. Samshad.
Dr. Shamshul Haq, son of Mr. Abdul Haq and Mrs. Mubin Taj.
Dr. Sharan Baswa, son of Mr. Rajkumar and Mr. Sridevi.
Dr. Sharath Hedji, son of Mr. Purushottam Hedji and Mrs. Shobha K.R.
Dr. Sheikh Nisaruddin N, son of Mr. Najumuddin J and Mrs. Hasina Banu M.
Dr. Shishira T.S., daughter of Mr. T.M. Sridhar and Mrs. Nalini N.R.
Dr. Shravani Barkar, daughter of Mr. D.F. Barkar and Mrs. Sujata Barkar.
Dr. Shreyas Kumar, son of Dr. Jayaprakash C.S. and Mrs. Shaini Jayaprakash.
Dr. Shuaib Khalid, son of Mr. Tabassum Pasha and Mrs. Seema Firdaus.
Dr. Silna Nasir, daughter of Mr. Abdul Nasir TP and Mrs. Sarina M., wife of Dr. Mohammad Rafiq.
Dr. Sinjana BM, daughter of Dr. Mahesh and Mrs. Nalini Mahesh.
Dr. Sinjana S. Gowda, daughter of Mr. Shivananda Gowda KN and Mrs. Sukanya K.
Dr. Sindhu R, daughter of Mr. Rajesh Armstrong and Mrs. Y. Jayanti.
Dr. Spurti PV, daughter of Mr. P. Vijay Kumar and Mrs. Manjula.
Dr. Srinidhi JP, daughter of Mr. P.B. Jayanendra Kumar and Mrs. M.R. Prasanna Kumari.
Dr. Sridhar VR, son of Mr. Rajendra Gowda VG and Mrs. Radha SN.
Dr. Sumaya Sultana, daughter of Mr. Muhammad Abdullah and Mrs. Tasneem.
Dr. Swati Aravind Udagiri, daughter of Mr. Aravind Appa Sahib Udagiri and Mrs. Bharati Aravind Udagiri.
Dr. Sayyid Kalandar, son of Mr. Sayyid Ahmad and Mrs. Shamim Banu.
Dr. Syed Mateen Pasha, son of Mr. Nadeem Pasha and Mrs. Lubna Nazim.
Dr. Sayyid Uwais Pasha, son of Mr. Sayyid Sibghatullah and Mrs. Samina Fatima. Thank you, sir. Now I kindly request Dr. Muhammad Ismail Ijmali, sir, to present the certificates to the graduates.
Dr. Syed Sadatullah, son of Mr. Aslam Pasha and Mrs. Reshma Khanum.
Dr. Sayyid Sakhlain, son of Mr. Sayyid Azizullah and Mrs. Zarina Banu.
Dr. Sayyida Akhdas Imam, daughter of Mr. Syed Afaq Imam and Mrs. Juwairiya Tasneem.
Dr. Sayyida Tasneem, daughter of Mr. Sayyid Rahmatullah Aslam and Mrs. Farida Khanum.
Dr. Tasneem Naeem, daughter of Dr. M. Naeem Ahmad and Dr. Saida Nazmus Sahar.
Dr. Tehreen Khanum, daughter of Mr. Safir Muhammad Khan and Mrs. Shabina.
Dr. Taskina, daughter of Mr. Atiq Rahman and Mrs. Shakira.
Dr. Ullas Vayes Gowda, son of Mrs. Shashidhara and Mrs. Shashikala. Dr. Umme Hani, daughter of Mr. Ahmad Pasha and Mrs. Shaista Yasmin.
Dr. Vinod Kumar Hosagaudar, son of Mr. Gangappa Hosagaudar and Mrs. Basavarajeshwari.
Dr. Yashaswini M., daughter of Mr. Y.N. Manjunatha Swami and Mrs. Sumati H.
Dr. Zahura Parveen, daughter of Mr. Sabir Ali and Mrs. Safia Banu. Dr. Zainab Mohiuddin, daughter of Mr. P.M. Mohiuddin and Mrs. Fazila Mohiuddin. Dr. Zisha Shamal Fatima, daughter of Dr. Zaki Ahmad and Mrs. Sharfunisa Ahmad. Dr. Pedaballi Vishnu Reddy, son of Mr. Pedaballi Gangi Reddy and Mrs. Pedaballi Manjulamma. Dr. Kotyal Chidanand Kallappa, son of Mr. Kallappa Kotyal and Mrs. Sangeeta Kotyal. Dr. Dhanalakshmi N.R., daughter of Mr. Rangaswamy and Mrs. Savita. Due to some unwanted circumstances, few of our graduates couldn't make it here. So I request some other graduates to collect it on their behalf. Dr. Gokul Gopal V, Dr. N.S. Gaurav Satvik, Dr. Syed Moinuddin Hussaini Hafiz, Dr. B. Rishikesh Premraj, son of Mr. Premraj and Mrs. Suma Premraj.
Dr. Sanjay, son of Mr. Ramesh and Mrs. Renuka. Dr. Rishikesh Premraj, son of Mr. Premraj B and Mrs. Suma Premraj. I now call upon the vibrant Dr. Reshma, Associate Professor, Department of Physiotherapy, to announce the name of the graduates from Kanachur College of Physiotherapy.
I deem it my proud privilege to announce PPT 64 graduates and MPT 13 graduates from Kanachur College of Physiotherapy to receive their awards. May I kindly request Dr. Mohammad Ismail Ejmadi sir to award the degrees to the eligible graduates. Ahmad Shammas K. Mohammad Ansif JS. Mohammad Ansif JS. Mohammad Samil SK. Abdul Rashid PS. Usna Nasreen KS. Rinsin Namgyal. Arzu Shah. Thank you, sir. May I kindly request Dr. Venkatraya Prabhu, sir, to award the degrees. Abdul Rahman P. Abdullah KP. Eben Thomas Prakash. Adarsh A. Adila. Afifa PB. Alimat Farzina. Ashmita Shrestha. Aishat Nazima P. Catherine Joy. Clint AP. Devika S. Bhattatiri. Faki Akif Imran. Fatima Zua Arif Mandatil Palli. Fernandez Astida Saviola. Fiza Amir Ali. Gansham Varikulam. Ibrahim Munnish. Jiva Davis Achengadan. Karma Choden. Kritik A. Yam Ziyad. Melvin Thomas Chaco. Mohammad Ali AV. Thank you, sir. May I kindly request Dr. Mohammad Suhail to award the degrees. Musa Shahid Abdul Rahman. Nadar Anisha Dharmaraj. Nafisatul Ifaza PK. Nahana Parveen. Nava Bikas Ratna. Naval Rahman PV. Neha Shibu. Ria Reslin MP. Yes, Sean. Sachin Chawla. Safida K. Salima Shirin. Saliha NS. Shaheen Shahana Abdul Rahman. Sulochana Acharya. Tenzin Minki. Tony Thomas. String Palmo. String Sangmo. Vivek NP. Katijat Asina P. Mohammad Nidal. Benato Thomas. Mohammad Sahal TK. Abdul Salam YK. Thank you, sir. May I kindly request Dr. Shamima to award the degrees. Farisha. Harun Abdullah Manipadi. Matthews Edith Binoy. Irshad IB. Mohammad Sufail K. Mohammad Aisham H. Rashid PB. Master of Physiotherapy in Musculoskeletal Sciences, Dr. Aisha Shaulat. Dr. Aishat Ramsina. Dr. Sheikh Afra Fatima Sayed. Dr. Sheikh Sobia Ashfaq. Master of Physiotherapy in Sports Sciences, Dr. Vishnulal S.L. Dr. Praveena Kallan. Master of Physiotherapy in Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Sciences, Dr. Arya Lakshmi T.R. Dr. Manjima Matthew. Dr. Prinsha P.P. Dr. Rija Roy M. Master of Physiotherapy in Neurological Sciences, Dr. Ashik P. Dr. Shamima. Dr. Jamseer KP. BPT graduate Ansar Mohammad Bashir. Slowly. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Mr. Nijin SG, HOD, Department of Optometry, to announce the graduates from Allied Health Sciences. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and very good evening to all. I hereby call upon the graduates of BSc Medical Laboratory Technology to receive the certificates. Shamima ma'am, please come forward. Miss Fatima Taiba. Mr. Muhammad Sawat. Mr. Shahir N.M. Ms. Amrita Manoj. Ms. Aishwarya PR. Thank you, ma'am. I request Professor Moli Saldana to present the certificate to our graduates. Ms. Fatimat Shamila. Ms. Rajeshwari Hermat. Mr. Muhammad Nihal NT. Mr. K. Muhammad Azim. Ms. Rahana Fatima. Ms. Nusrat K.H. Ms. Aishat Sajina M.H. Miss Rabiat Adavia. Miss Bandana Kunavar. Miss Shraddha Kusum Kandel. I hereby call upon the graduates of BSc Optometry to receive the certificates. Mr. Ahmad Intisham. Mr. Wasim C. Mohammed. Miss Srinita N.K. Mr. James Paul. Miss Rania S. Miss Leah K. J. Miss Aisha Ashiba. Miss Numia. Mr. Jebin Shah. Mr. Mohammad Ramshad M.A. Mr. Mohammad Ashfaq K. Miss Shamnat Nishana P.A. Miss Kavya D. Miss Shazia M. I hereby call upon the graduates of BSc Renal Dialysis Technology to receive the certificates. Miss Jaizana M. Mr. Idil Ismail C.K. Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. H.S. Balal to present the certificates to our graduates. Sir, please. I call upon the graduates of BSc Anesthesia Technology and/or Operation Theatre Technology to receive the certificates. Mr. Aditya Dinesh. Miss Darshana Mani. Miss Shabna C. I hereby call upon the graduates of BSc Medical Imaging Technology to receive the certificates. Miss Kubra. Miss Anisunisa. Sir, kindly remain on the stage for a moment longer. I welcome Professor Sharon Joseph, Vice Principal, Kanachur College of Nursing Sciences, to call the graduates of BSc Nursing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all. May I request Dr. H.S. Bellal to hand over the certificates to the graduates of BSc Nursing. I request his graduates to come over the stage as I call the name. Abdul Hasib, Abin D, Achu Simon, Adil KP, Ida Matthew, Akash Sibi, Akshay KS, Alina George, Alina John, Alina Joseph, Alina Paul, Alma Manu, Alvin Joy, Amal Simon, Anakha Mohan, Anamika Chandran, Angel Elizabeth Joseph, Anix Maria Reggie, Anjana J, Thank you, sir. I would like to request Dr. UT Iftikhar Fadli to present the certificates to the graduates. Anna Daniel, Anumol Simon, Anusha R, Aparna Radhakrishnan, Arya K, Arya Mol Biju, Ashida Joseph, Ashna Rose, Basil Muhammad Ali, Bhavana Subhash, Bhavya KV, Britty Benny, Christina Subhash, Krisen P. Suresh, Dolma Sibi, Donna Dominic Savio, Dono Sanju, Edwin Thomas, Emil Gigi George, Iva Das, Gifty Marin Roy, J. Small Johnny, Jaron Cyril, Justina Elsa Patros, Justina Joseph, Jindu Robin, Jose Martin, Julia Joy, thank you, sir. I request Dr. Haji UK Monu sir to felicitate graduate with certificate. Letitia Gigi Verghese, Maria Stephen, Melissa Anil, Matilda George, Milu Mariam John, Muhammad Shamas VC, Muhammad Nihal R, Namita Sebastian, Neetu Matthew, Nimi Tom, Nithya Anna Verghese, Parvati, Angel Philip. Reshma Elizabeth Koshi. Ria and Robin. Ria Marin Thomas. Robin Biju. Ruma Shajan. Roshni D'Souza. Sahadian Nabil. Sandra Vinod. Sheetal Isaac. Shemil Simon. Shilpa Thomas. Shaino Annama Shaji. Soli Anna Wilson. Srishma Mol S. Shruti Lakshmi. Steffi N. Rao. Subi Thomas. Vandana B.V. Silla T. Manoj. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to all the graduates. May your future be filled with endless opportunities and success. Thank you all.